So one of the questions that has lingered in the year and a half since the violent attack on January 6th is why the Capitol Police were basically left alone to defend themselves and all the lawmakers inside the building, not to mention the seat of the U.S. government. How could it be that there was no plan to support them ahead of a day that Donald Trump teased would be, quote, wild? And why did it take so long for backup to arrive on the 6th when it was clear the Capitol Police were overwhelmed? We saw it on television. Where was the National Guard? Well, beginning that very afternoon, the Trump White House attempted to tamp down those concerns with a big lie. Hours into the attack, Press Secretary Kelly McEnany tweeted, "At President Trump's direction, the National Guard is on the way." Not true. Just a lie. Not true. Donald Trump never directed the National Guard to go to the Capitol. Maybe she was mistaken, but in the days before or on January 6th, didn't happen. That did not stop Trump himself from then lying on January 7th.
I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order.
We now know, thanks to testimony of the January 6th committee, Donald Trump's staff had to convince him to make that speech, the January 7th one, in the first place. And when he finally agreed, practically the first thing out of his mouth was that lie. I deploy the National Guard. It had already been debunked. The New York Times reporting on the evening of January 6th that Trump, quote, rebuffed and resisted requests to mobilize the National Guard. And in the end, it was Vice President Mike Pence who approved the order to deploy. That did not stop Trump and his allies and his staff from repeating the lie over and over again.
Even in January, that was given. As many as 10,000 National Guard troops were told to be on the ready by the Secretary of Defense. That was a direct order from President Trump.
A few weeks after that, Trump said it again in an interview on Fox News, this time trying to dump some of the blame on Nancy Pelosi.
I definitely gave the number of 10,000 National Guardsmen. I think you should have 10,000 of the National Guard ready. They took that number, from what I understand, they gave it to the people at the Capitol, which is controlled by Pelosi, and I heard they rejected it because they didn't think it looked good.
Of course, that new part, also completely untrue. Just fabricated, whole cloth. Trump has continued to spread this lie, even recently on his fake Twitter platform, falsely claiming he recommended, offered thousands of troops, and Pelosi refused them. He will not stop repeating this, even now, 18 months later. Then, of course, there's the cable news echo chamber for Trump's pseudo-alibi.
Donald Trump authorized up to 20,000 National Guard soldiers to protect the Capitol. Donald Trump authorized the use of 20,000 National Guard troops. Donald Trump called up the National Guard 2 days prior. Don't forget, President Trump requested increased National Guard support in the days leading up to January 6th.
Sean Hannity was still doing this as recently as last month. According to Media Matters, he pushed the lie hundreds of times in total on at least 43 episodes of his show, including when he asked Donald Trump's acting Secretary of Defense at the time, Chris Miller, and Chris Miller's Chief of Staff, Kash Patel, to confirm they heard Trump authorize the use of National Guard troops before the 6th.
Mr. Trump unequivocally authorized up to 20,000 National Guardsmen and women for us to utilize should the second part of the law, the requests, come in. But those requests never did, as you highlighted.
Let me be very clear. Both of you said this under oath, under the threat of a penalty of perjury to the committee?
Oh, absolutely, Sean.
Chris Miller, absolutely, Sean. Now, there's no law against lying to Fox News viewers, and if there was, there would not have a network. But there is a law against lying under oath. So what story do you think Chris Miller, the guy who told Sean Hannity last month that Trump ordered the Guard to be deployed before the 6th to be ready, what he told the January 6th committee? Well, the committee has released the tape. We'll play it for you next.
Mr. Trump unequivocally authorized up to 20,000 National Guardsmen and women for us to utilize should the second part of the law, the requests, come in. But those requests never did, as you highlighted.
Let me be very clear. Both of you said this under oath, under the threat of a penalty of perjury to the committee?
Oh, absolutely, Sean.
Under threat of oath. Perjury. Absolutely, Sean. Unequivocally. Not a lot of wiggle room in those statements. Since January 6th, Donald Trump and his allies, like Kash Patel, who apparently wears a custom Kash Patel lapel pin with a $sign on it, have repeated this utter lie over and over that the ex-president authorized the National Guard to defend the Capitol from the mob in the days leading to it, and then he ordered them to go in. Well, now the January 6th committee has released definitive proof debunking it. This is testimony under oath. One of the very men you just heard spreading the lie with Sean Hannity on Fox News last month, Donald Trump's acting Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller.
I just want to be clear here that since then, in February of 2021, Mark Meadows said on Fox News that, quote, even in January, that was a given. As many as 10,000 National Guard troops were told to be on the ready by the Secretary of Defense. Is there any accuracy to that statement?
I'm not from my perspective. I was never given any direction or order or knew of any plans of that nature. So I was surprised by seeing that publicly, but I don't know the context or even where it was. No, there was no. We obviously had plans for activating more folks, but that was not anything more than contingency planning. There was no official message traffic or anything of that nature regarding.
Just so we're clear, you did not have 10,000 troops, quote, to be on the ready for January 6th, prior to January 6th.
A non-military person probably could have some sort of weird interpretation, but no, to answer your question, no, that was not part of my plan or the Department of Defense's plan.
Lies, just lies. They just lie. Joining here now, Elie Mystal, justice correspondent for The Nation, where he covers politics and the courts and also lies. Elie, this is just small, one little nugget, right? It's just like one thing. But it's just very rare that you sort of get them to say the truth. And what, to me, this sort of speaks to in some ways is the power of subpoenas, the power of being under oath, which is a real thing with real consequences and really does matter. So here we have an example of why it matters. Why it matters that January 6th committee can get people under oath, because they can't lie like they do on Sean Hannity when they're before the committee.
Yeah, Chris Miller might have well have said, it is weird that people actually believe the words coming out of my mouth, because who would do that? Like, that was his testimony under oath. And you're exactly right, Chris. This is why the subpoenas have so much power. But this is a lesson that we all need to learn, and I would argue should have learned in, I don't know, circa 2015. These people lie for a living. All they know how to do is lie. If they're not under oath, everything they say should be viewed as a lie. If Donald Trump says, I had a cheeseburger for dinner, what should happen next is a voiceover saying, NBC News cannot confirm whether or not Trump got the cheeseburger or the chicken nuggets in his Happy Meal. I mean, that's we have to independently verify everything they say, because all they do is lie. That's all they know how to do. Remember, Chris, just a couple weeks ago, Cassidy Hutchinson testified, and then there was all this right-wing drama. Oh, the Secret Service is going to Tony Ornato is going to testify. No, did they do that? No, because they were lying.
Nope. And
they weren't going to come under oath to lie, so they just had to put this out there when everybody knew that Cassidy Hutchinson was telling the truth because she testified under oath, and these unnamed sources were just lying. At some point, the rest of the media needs to catch up to reality and stop platforming these liars uncritically.